Hello and welcome back to the Lobo Designs channel. My name is Heather Lynn. I'm the owner of Lobo Designs, and I'm here today with a tutorial on how to create a layered cake topper. I use acrylic for mine, so we're going to pretend that this one is made of blue acrylic with gray acrylic on top. We're going to have to use our imaginations a little bit, but I'll walk you through step by step how to create this design. So let's get started. The first thing that we'll need for this project is the font that you'll be using for your design. I'm going to create the font for mine by using the type tool, which is over here in your menu, or you can hit T as in type on your keyboard, click anywhere on your artboard, and I'm going to just type the words happy birthday. Small right now, we're going to make it larger. The font that I'm using right now is called Bolivia Rosea Script Regular. You can see that over here on the right side of my screen. Now that we have the font on screen, I'm going to zoom in so we can see it a little better. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to create outlines by hitting Command-Shift-O, or you can right-click and do create outlines. You can also use one of the quick actions over here to create outlines. Command-Shift-O, and while we still have everything selected, we're going to unite these. And what I mean by that is scrolling in. If you see these little tails that are overlapping for each individual letter, you want to make sure that you unite those. Otherwise, your laser will ignore them. So while we have everything selected, you're going to go over into the Pathfinder menu and you're going to click Unite, which is this one right here. Now everything is united into one shape, and we can ungroup and organize this the way that we want it to be for the cake topper. So I'm going to do Command-Shift-G or Control-Shift-G if you're on Windows. You can also go over here and do ungroup, or you can right-click and hit ungroup. So I'm going to Command-Shift-G. Now that this is all ungrouped, I'm going to group it back the way that I need it to be. So I'm going to select happy, and I'm going to do Command-G or Control-G, or again, you can highlight and then come over here and click the word group, but you're going to group happy together, and you want to also group the word birthday together. So Command-G, now they're individually grouped and I can shift them around. So I'm going to move birthday down here, happy up top. I'm going to get this a little bit lower because I want the D here to overlap, and I'm going to select all of these together and I'm going to center them horizontally just to make sure that the alignment is on point. And now that I have that set up, I'm going to add a stroke because I'm not engraving this and it's a very thin font. So what I'm going to do first is make sure that I have it set to the size that I need it. Zooming out a little bit, we're going to make this a 4-inch width for right now. So 4 inches wide. It's going to make it bigger. Zooming out if you need to. And now you want to add the stroke because again, this is a very, very thin cutout. Going in outline mode for a minute, looking at these tiny, tiny breaks, this will snap if you're cutting it. So we want to add a stroke to this. I'm back into preview mode. So I'm going to select this whole thing and I'm going to go over here into the appearance menu and I'm going to click stroke and I'm going to go up on the stroke. Make sure that it's set to black. If there's another color, you can just click on the thumbnail and change it to black. And I'm going to thicken this stroke up to, I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger than that. 4 points is too much. 3 points isn't enough. So I'm going to actually type in here 3.5 and hit enter. And that looks like it should work. While I still have this selected, I'm going to zoom in. Do you see this little point here? You can fix those by going into the stroke menu here. Click the word stroke. And you can click the corner and do a round join here, this middle one, and that will go away. You want to make sure you do that before you unite your font. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to zoom out. Now that I have everything selected, I'm going to go up into the object menu and hit expand. Click OK as long as you have fill and stroke expanded. Now that everything is expanded and selected, we're going to unite again, which is over here in the Pathfinder panel. You're going to click unite. So now everything is one shape. Now what I would do here is I would go in and do some cleanup because if you can see there are extra nodes inside of the P's down here, and there was also something that was jagged about the T. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to swap into outline mode for a minute, Command Y or Control Y. See these little dots here? I'm going to get rid of those. So A on your keyboard, which is the direct selection tool. That's also this little white arrow up at the top left. I'm going to click on that, delete on my keyboard, click here, delete on my keyboard. See if I can find anything else that looks weird. I don't see anything else in here that I'll need to worry about. This would also be the step if you're going to merge the dot of your eye to the bottom of this eye so that it's not a standalone. You would want to do that here. I'm not doing that for this design because I think it looks a little funky. But if you wanted to do that, you would just ungroup, drag that eye down. I'll show you real quick. So you're going to Command-Shift-G, ungroup, drag this little eye down, and then you would select these together and unite them. I don't like the look of that, so I'm not going to do that for my project. But if you needed to do that, that's how you would do it. So I'm going to hop back into preview mode, and now we have our text. So this is the actual text that we'll be cutting out on our laser for the second layer of the cake topper. Now to create the background layer of the cake topper, which is your bottom layer, you're going to do an offset. So I have all of this selected. This is how I do an offset. I'm going to hit Command-C. Follow along with me, and I'll do this twice just to make sure because I do it a little bit differently than others. So you're going to hit Command-C or Control-C, making a copy of the text. Then you're going to go up into the Object menu, go to Path, go to Offset Path. For this one, I'm going to use a 0.18 inch round join for the offset path. So I'm going to leave this as is if yours doesn't look like this, or if you want yours to be wider, or if you want it to be a miter join so that it has pointed edges, entirely up to you. But I'm going to stick with 0.18 round for this, and I'm going to click OK. Now, while I still have all of this selected, I'm going to go over here into the Pathfinder menu and hit Unite. Then what I personally do is I release the compound path. So I'm going to right click, release compound path, and then I unite this one more time. And now what I can do is I can change this from stroke to fill by hitting Shift X, or by hitting the little arrow over here, Shift X. So now we have this text, the outline is here, and we have everything that we need. And all we need to do is add the stake and then change the colors. So I'll do that one more time just so that you can see my steps again, because some people take a copy of the text and then they paste it back. I always keep a copy just in case anything goes wrong, but I don't need to actually use that copy unless something goes wrong. So I'm going to undo the steps that I just did and walk you through that one more time. So now we have the text here. Again, I always make a copy just in case I need it. You're going to go up into the Object menu, Path, Offset Path, set the design that you need here, and then click OK. You're then going to unite, right click, release the compound path, and then unite again. Now you can change it from stroke to fill by hitting Shift X, and then you can ungroup if you need to, which is what we're going to do in the next step. So right now we have the background layer, we have the text, and we're going to add the stake to the cake topper. So I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see this. While I have this all selected, I'm going to do Command-Shift-G, and I'm going to ungroup just so that the background here I can change to a red stroke. So now we have our cut path, and that's also how I'm going to create the stake for the cake topper. So for the stake, I'm going to use the rectangle tool, which is M on your keyboard, M as in Mary, or you can go over here and select the rectangle tool in your menu. I'm going to click anywhere on my artboard, and I'm going to make the stake 0.2 inches wide and 3 inches high. And then I'm going to click OK. And now while I have this out here, I'm just going to bump this stroke down to 0.25 because we don't need it to be that thick. I'm going to take this shape and I'm going to add an anchor point down here at the bottom by using the Add Anchor Point tool. So you can either hit plus on your keyboard, or you can go over here into the Add Anchor Point tool, click on that. You're going to go in the middle of this line down here. I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to go in the middle of this line where your smart guide pops up, and you're just going to click one time, add a anchor point right there. And then click somewhere else on your artboard with the selection tool. So you're going to go to the selection tool, V as in Victor on your keyboard, click somewhere else, make sure that your stake is not selected. And then you're going to use the direct selection tool, which is A on your keyboard, or the white arrow up here. And you're going to hover over this new anchor point that you added, hold down your shift key and just drag this down a little bit and make the point for your cake topper stake. So now we have the stake here. We have the outline, the cut outline for your offset path. Again, I'm going to bump this down to 0.25 just because that's how I like it in my designs. I'm going to drag this up here to where I think it will be centered. And then what I'm going to do is just make sure it's centered. So I'm going to select this outline along with the stake, holding down my shift key, selecting both, or you can just draw a little lasso around the two. Just make sure that you don't have the text selected because you don't need it selected in this. I'm going to click once more on this outline, just so that it doesn't move. That's making it the key object. And then I'm just going to go over here into the Align panel and horizontally align center. So just to make sure it's in the center. And then once you have that done, you're going to select the stake and the outline, and you're going to one more time do Pathfinder Unite. And now you have the cake topper design that you'll need. So right now, this design is your cutout for the background. This right here, you're going to want to shift to a stroke, and again, bump it down because you don't need that thick stroke. So this can also be set as a red path. So now you have your text to cut out for the top layer. I would back this with 3M so that I didn't have to glue it. You have your outline here so that you have the backdrop for your text to drop onto. And then when I'm making my cake toppers, I also make packaging for them out of cardboard. I don't know if you've seen any of my Instagram videos when I make cake toppers, but I also always make cardboard packaging for my cutout, and I'll walk you quickly through how I do that because it's super easy. So what I do for those is I'm just going to do this outside of the artboard for right now. So I make a quick copy of this outline by holding down Option and dragging. It's Alt on your Windows machine. So now you have this outline. I draw a rectangle around the outline. It doesn't have to be like any specific measurement. I try and make it as little cardboard as possible. I center this just to make sure that they're the same. And then I make 2 copies of this rectangle. So Option Shift or Alt Shift and click and drag. And then the same thing, you can do it one more time. So now we have, this is the back one. This will be the middle piece. We'll just do a quick knockout here. So we have the back piece, this is the top piece, and this is the middle piece where your cake topper will sit. So selecting this rectangle, you'll want to right click, arrange, send to back, and you'll select them both together and do minus front. And now you have this as a cutout. So what you would do is you would stack, this is the back layer, this is the middle layer, the cake topper would go in there, and then this is the top layer. And then what I do is I put a piece of tape down the side here and make it a booklet with my branding sticker on top. You can check out my Instagram if you want to see my entire process, but that is how I create the cake topper packaging that I use when I'm creating cardboard packaging for my cake toppers. So now you have the background of your cake topper, you have the text that you'll be cutting out of your cake topper, you have the packaging cutouts if you need them, and all you would need to do now is create SVGs for your files. For the one that I have right now, I would have to do it twice because I don't want this to be missed, and right now it's outside of the artboard. So I will bring it down here, and we'll see if I can fit it all in one file, which it looks like I can. So now I could export all of this as an SVG by going up into File, Save As, or you can do Command-Shift-S as in Save or Control-Shift-S as in Save. You're going to bring up the Save As menu. You want to make sure that your format down here is set to SVG, and you're going to click Save. As always, SVG profiles should be 1.0. Decimal places should be set to 3. Responsive should not be checked. And then you'll just want to click OK. And that'll export your file to wherever you have it saved. And you can either import it to Lightburn or the GFUI or whatever laser software you're using and cut yourself a double layer cake topper. I hope that helped show you the process, and that concludes this tutorial. As always, feel free to join us in the Glowcreate group on Facebook for additional tips and tricks on how to use Procreate and Adobe Illustrator beyond the screen to turn your digital artwork into physical products. If you enjoyed this video and would like to be notified of future tutorials, please hit the like button and subscribe below. Until next time, this is Heather Lynn of Lobo Design signing off. I'll holla at you later.